Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto, where we take the market one leg at a time while keeping the market cycle in mind. And the overall market cycle is still bearish, but our immediate term trend right here is a potential inverted head and shoulders, which we discussed in my last video. And not a whole lot's changed. We did get the right shoulder that we were looking for here. Looks like that proves to be a pretty good high. And within that action, we have a form of a symmetrical triangle here coming to a point here. Probably sometime today you'll get a move to the upside or to the downside. Hopefully we're done with the fake outs, but that's trading, ladies and gentlemen. You have to deal with fake outs. But if we get lower here, go ahead and take the short. If we go higher here, go ahead and take the long. And that kind of is what that is. There's not a lot of technical, trickery to be had here, to be quite honest with you. The volume's very mixed. The candles are very mixed. The chart patterns are very mixed. And the volatility is really removing itself from the market. Now, some of you think of volatility as downside movement. Volatility is actually movement in either direction. So this is volatility here to the upside. This up thrust. This down thrust is volatility. This up thrust is volatility. This is not volatility. And as these up thrusts and down thrusts have been waning, the volatility is being removed from the market. Similar to how this volatility was being removed from the market. Volatility was removed right here from the market as we come to these inflection points where we break up or we break down. And in recent history, most of these inflection points have actually been downside breaks. They've pretty much all been downside breaks since this 10,000 top over here. So we have an inflection point, downside break, inflection point, downside break, inflection point, probably a downside break. But again, I'm prepared if it goes up, prepared if it goes down. But my money's to the downside, as we've seen in recent history here. Now, Randy, you say, what about these up thrusts here? This is kind of a mini inflection point. This is a small base. It's not a very big inflection point. This is just a pattern. This is not an inflection point. So not too many overall what are called corkscrews. It's called corkscrewing in the stock market, but you don't get too many of that here in crypto. One here, one corkscrew coming in there, really coming to a fine point, and then it chooses its direction. We're coming to that fine point here, so pay attention today. Pay attention today for that. Now, I want to look through a couple of the top altcoins as Bitcoin's, doing what it's doing. I want to take a look at Bitcoin Cash and how it's living in a bigger bear flag. You see they're having a bit of a higher low here recently, but the bias here is to the downside, living underneath this 200 period moving average, whereas Bitcoin right now is actually living above it. I forgot to touch on that. Bitcoin's living above that 200 period moving average. And Ethereum actually has a little bit of a bull flag happening here, which is unexpected. You've got the big volume popping in here, and then the slow, slight decline action on lower volume is indicative of bullish behavior. So if the market does break to the upside, you would anticipate Ethereum to have probably one of the bigger runs, unless you trade Bitcoin Cash, in which case Bitcoin Cash may run. But Bitcoin Cash not looking as good. The Bitcoin derivatives aren't looking as healthy. Ethereum, though, not looking too bad. Not looking too bad there. And we take a look at Litecoin, which is just pretty much destroyed and is continuing to be slowly destroyed. So we talked a while back about this head and shoulders in Litecoin, hit the short-term target and has actually even hit the long-term target in terms of those head and shoulders. So both of those patterns playing out in Litecoin, and Litecoin was flagging out here recently, broke the flag and just rolling over. And in recent history, whenever Litecoin's bearish, Bitcoin usually follows, which is another reason why I'm kind of putting a point in the bear's court for Bitcoin falling here. And so that's kind of a breeze through of these top altcoins. They're really just slowly selling off is really what they're doing. There's not a lot going on here in terms of bullish behavior. There is a trend line here in Litecoin that if it's broken could be good to the upside if we break it to the upside in Bitcoin, but I'm not quite sure that's going to happen. So Bitcoin actually is the most bullish of all of these. If you take a look, if you take a step back here, we can see a pretty well-defined inverted head and shoulders here. And Bitcoin Cash is not so well-defined. We have this low lower than this head, a pretty high right shoulder, what would be a pretty steep neckline. So a very malformed formation here in Bitcoin Cash, not really looking bullish, whereas Bitcoin is. And then we've got, Litecoin, as we just discussed, which is also more of the same, a lower low here than this low, very malformed right shoulder, and the neckline here would just be a pretty abysmal trend line. And then you go back to Bitcoin, looks much happier. So you have to ask yourself, is Bitcoin going to lead us higher, or are these other alts, or is the aggressive selling in the other alts showing us the general direction of the market, while they're kind of, all this short covering in Bitcoin is kind of propping the market up? And that's really what's happening, is a lot of this is general short covering in Bitcoin propping the market up. And we discussed that a few videos ago. So that's kind of my market update for you guys. I just wanted to throw that out there. Be ready for this to potentially break more than likely to the downside, in my opinion, right now. I'm seeing more bearish action than bullish action in Bitcoin. And most of these other top altcoins are confirming that for me. So, again, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Please go ahead and wait for the breakdown or some very bad bearish action, deeper in the chart here, maybe on the 15-minute or the 5-minute time frame, if you're really waiting for that to break. You can see on the 15-minute, we're kind of rounding over here. So we could be coming to a point shortly where we're going to sell off. Or we just stop and go higher, as has happened with Bitcoin in the past. So that's where it is, ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin coming to an inflection point. That's going to have to resolve itself, and we'll probably move after that, maybe today or tomorrow. So thanks for joining me here today, guys. I appreciate it. If you guys do like the content, please subscribe and hit that like button. Share the video with your friends and family and all that good stuff. Leave a comment, because YouTube likes that. And I want to thank you guys for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.